Basically, the idea for my proposal is really to have everything that is going on in the Cardano ecosystem available to you on a mobile. Because the very first thing that pretty much everyone does these days before they go to bed or wake up in the morning is look at their mobile. At the moment, I think there are around sort of more than 50 kind of sites that you would have to go to if you wanted to find out what's going on within Cardano. So in terms of looking at the problem, in terms of what was set for us by the Catalyst project, you know, what are the low-hanging fruits in terms of how do we attract developers and entrepreneurs, and what kind of apps and businesses already developed in the next 6 months. So that's I think that was the challenge that was set us. So what would be the utopia? What would be the ideal? So the ideal for me in terms of the way I looked at trying to resolve this problem is showcase developers and entrepreneurs who've actually got projects within the Cardano using ADA. Also give the ability to share with the developers the tutorials and communicate the business and the developer events. And also create, able to do that is to create a mobile app that provides you with that. So you'll be able to get real-time updates, understand when events are happening, whether tutorials are happening, conferences, that sort of thing. And also look at some of the business applications, the real world applications that have actually been deployed so that you can see how you could possibly use the infrastructure to be able to deliver on those goals, the problem statements. So just in terms of how I came about coming up with this idea. So in 2018, I actually met Charles at one of the meetups. Back then, I was using Trello as a repository to store information regarding the Cardano project. So it was always my vision to be able to try and wade through all of the information that was being, you know, sort of shared with so many different sources, whether it be websites or podcasts, is to have one repository. And I built a platform using Trello. Trello is a system whereby you can have different cards. It's typically used for agile kind of project management, but I found it very useful. So when I met Charles, I started using that tool. I later then took the information out of that and used Microsoft's OneNote project as a way of being able to consolidate and come up with one hub. And then in 2020, when the opportunity came around for me to be able to participate, I thought, okay, good idea would to be able to put that onto a mobile. So that's really kind of covering the kind of heritage in terms of where we are today. In terms of timing, so like I said, IdeaScale presented the opportunity to come up with a kind of working prototype in terms of being able to get to a fully working MVP. So that's where I'm kind of got to at the moment. So I have a full working prototype. And there are basically Cisco, they actually estimate there are about 50 billion devices. So if we're trying to attract people, whether it be on a developer standpoint or a business standpoint, everyone literally has a mobile phone. And people are using their phones up to 150 times a day. So it seems the right platform if you want to reach people. You know, we go where that community is. So the actual prototype is out there at the moment. It's available. I've got 76 registered users. The bulk of them are coming in from investors. Within the app, I can actually categorize the users by being able to either ask for them to participate in a form that's built into the app. So traction is already there. In terms of the target market, so at the moment, the way I look at it is there are over 1,879 Ethereum developers out there at the moment, and that's what I'm thinking that this app could be targeted at. So, you know, that's the target market. And in terms of the business entrepreneurs, I'm targeting those entrepreneurs which are already part of the Crypto Entrepreneurs podcast. So that's where I could see this app specifically targeting to satisfy the challenge that the Project Catalyst presented us with. So what are the advantages in terms of actually coming up with a mobile, for this solution, mobile app? So the advantage is we get real-time notifications, being able to be alerted of noteworthy information as it happens, real-time. So as you can see on the left, this is when the Cardano Foundation had a new CEO. That gets sent instantly to all of the registered users. So there's no need to actually try and sift out the information, whether it be on Reddit or on Twitter. The other advantage is all the breaking news. This news is coming in from 1,000 different sources, which I pay for. Again, one place on the app. The third advantage is you get a sight of the events. So if you've got conferences, IOHK meetings, again, it's all there laid out for you. And then the fourth advantage is, as you can see here, these are the business opportunities, real life applications that have been developed. There's a developers section, and then there's also other things that are happening within the community, whether it be ambassadors, interviews, and so on. So in terms of the approach, so the idea is consolidate the information, real-time delivery on your mobile. That would be the path to reach the developers and businesses using social media. Using the events, meetups would be the route to be able to reach that target audience. In terms of revenue, the viability of it, so there's ongoing costs in terms of sourcing the information and paying for that. So that could be done by premium subscription. So within the actual app itself, there will be certain sections that will be premium. Obviously, there's the possibility of using ads and dedicated pages for pool operators. Okay, a little bit about me. So I've kind of worked with large organizations, typically investment banks, for the last 20 years. I've actually also got a developer background. I've created the actual prototype. And then what I'm looking to do is partner with RPA tools to be able to build out and improve upon the UX and possibly deploy to iOS and Android, if that's the way that the community wants us to go. So in terms of the roadmap, at the moment, we've got a fully functional prototype. The next step would to build out the MVP and improve the UX, then look to have the Apple and Google releases, and then have the possibility of implementing one of the other guests today, possibly the AD, have a wallet. I can use your API and stuff like that. And if I get additional features, so I know, Rick, you launched the YouTube, Cardano YouTube channel. Another thing would be possibly to implement the sourcing of that and collating of that again into the app, because it can play those videos directly on it. So rather than having to go to another platform again, which would be Telegram, you've got one point of contact and that mobile app. And that's it. Like I said, the prototype's up. We have our own Twitter page. We've got our Facebook page, email set up, domain is set up. It's a fully functional prototype. I'd be delighted if there were some more people who'd like to give the prototype a try. And I look forward to see if I can get funding to build this out, because I think it's going to be something, as we get more and more people moving to the kind of Cardano ecosystem, that they're going to be looking to go to one place to get all this information. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You can go ahead and bring down that screen share.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Chris, very much. Thank you very much. So the first question I have from the Gauntlet here, now only one of the members here for the next 5 minutes can ask questions.
Sure.
That was great time. That was excellent. The first question I have here is, what kind of user data is collected and how is it protected? Let's start with what's collected and how do you protect it? Because it's crypto.
So,
right?
So in terms of user data, the only thing that at the moment I'm asking for is an email address to give you the ability to be able to do the chat features within the application. There is a privacy policy in there which kind of explains how I'm doing that, and it's also it's AWS, so all of the provisions that you've got with using Amazon services, so there isn't any kind of potential issues there. So yeah, there's no data as such. there is a form in there that I ask people to put in, which is literally just identifying whether they are an investor or a business person or a developer, so that we can then get to a point of being able to see whether we've met the metrics. We can actually produce a metric. So for example, if you get funding, there's a certain amount of detail I can then come back to the community and say, right, okay, we've got a certain amount of developers, we've attracted a certain amount of businesses. So that's really the only amount of data that's there.
So what's the real protection layer there? You mentioned Amazon Web Services. That provides some kind of hack resistance so that people
Absolutely.
don't go in. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Can you
yeah.
describe that a little bit so people get set at ease, and then we'll go to more questions? How does it protect people? How does it protect users' data?
Well, there isn't, like I said, the data that we're storing there isn't any actual names and address. Well, it's just got the email address. That's literally the only thing. The kind of protection that would be as part of AWS, it's kind of standard in terms of being able to not being hacked. So that's really the kind of protection that you're getting. So I don't actually have to use the infrastructure, which is hosted centrally myself on my own servers. It's something that I would rely on AWS to be able to make sure it's hack resistant.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
I have a question, Chris. So one
Sure.
of the issues with mobile apps is that if there's not a good sort of incentivization model, it dies after a certain period of time. So I see that your roadmap extends into Q1 of 2021, and you did mention that you're going to add some sort of premium features in your website or in the app. How can we expect, how is this app going to be maintained over a long period of time? Is the incentivization model that you're thinking about enough to sustain your team of 3 in order to continue making updates to the app? Because I'm sure that there are going to be new news sources that you're going to have to add and things that you may have to manually put in the app that you can't necessarily take from some sort of data feed. So how are you going to maintain that for a long period of time?
Right. So on the data sources side, that will be that's fully automated because like I say, I'm paying for those services, right? And it's so that's fine. You are right in terms of the updating. So the idea would be, the way I'm looking at this going forward would be there would be an update, manual update into a central database, and then that would be defined into certain categories. Then that would then automatically feed the automation of the production of the calendar. At the moment, with the prototype, it is manual. It's not it's not a burden in terms of being able to make the update, because it's an appointment is pretty straightforward. And to be honest with you, I'm not getting so many calendar updates at the moment that it's an issue. So in terms of being able to maintain that, the cost of doing that is not huge. As additional data sources come, again, I've got over 1,000. I think I've got every kind of site covered out there at the moment. What's out there in the system. So it is possible to be covered in terms of viability. And I've looked at some of the ways in terms of being able to, like I said, in terms of advertising. If the community do not like the advertising approach, then there would be more around assisting, for example, pool operators, having dedicated areas within the application for pool operators. Because at the moment, I think they're trying to reach out to a community via a number of different platforms. If they go to the mobile app, they'll have their own dedicated page with their video. They'll be able to communicate directly with their community within the app. And that would be a very kind of cost-effective way for them to be able to reach people who are either participating in their pool, or new people who are coming on into the infrastructure that they may want to be able to attract.
Okay.
So I hope that covers it.
All right. And that was 5 minutes exactly. Are there any last real quick super, oh, by the way, questions, anything? All right, we're going to roll over to the chat. We got 5 minutes for that, so I'm going to hit pause. Well done, Chris. Thank you very much. All right, so going to the chat, I don't see any questions over there yet for Chris. So if you have questions in the audience, post them over there in chat. If there's no questions, we will continue on, and we will take any other questions from the gauntlet. That way we can make best use of that 5 minutes.
Can I make a question?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Geronimo, go ahead and ask a question while people ask questions in chat. Go for it.
Okay, I see that the content is pulled automatically. Now, how is that going to be filtered? Because there may be lots of content that you get that is junk or just duplicates and adapted content that was copied from another article and things like that. So how is that filtering is going to happen?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So my idea there would be items would be put into a database, and then we'd run SQL kind of queries using I'm a database, I'm a kind of programmer, so I'm trying to kind of put it in a less technical way. But essentially the way I look at it is it'll go into a database. There'll be the ability to be able to run a SQL query on it and that will then bring back metrics to be able to ascertain whether the article is pretty much the same or not, right? At the moment, the third party that I'm relying on, they are doing a lot of the screening anyway. So I don't see that to be an issue with the prototype that I had at the moment. They've done a lot of screening of that, so that hasn't presented itself at the moment as an issue, but very conscious of what you're saying. But the quality of what I'm paying for looks like it's sufficient. So it's not just going out and getting the data, it is being verified and looked at. So I don't know if you've had a chance to see, it's been pretty good actually. I mean, it's finding things on Twitter and Reddit that are relevant as opposed to junk.
Yeah, because currently you can have fake news and you know, all that sort of stuff. Someone can create a very good looking article that is new and then put a link to download a wallet that will steal your seed phrase or things like that.
Yeah, or send me 1 Bitcoin, I'll send you 5 back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we got a question in the chat. Philippe, you want to bring that around to a question? We'll be our last one. Thank you, Geronimo.
Tressis Nov says, can I advertise my meetup on your app?
Absolutely.
And also, is there any plans for new languages? And that's from Maria.
Absolutely. We can put that on the roadmap for new languages, of course. And currently, you can advertise. I welcome getting more people to make me aware of what's there so that I can actually put it on. So you may have noticed, I think there's something on the calendar today for the Halloween, that Charles is attending. I think that's on there. There's Chicago meetups also. So it's not restricted to just the UK. This is kind of like worldwide. Also, if you go into the app, you'll look and you'll see it's got coverage. I think Korea's on there and all these other different places. It's amazing how much content is out there. Yeah. But I'm kind of, you know, the beauty about the app is that you can go into the app and send me a chat message directly, and then that information will come directly through to me and it will get updated as per the calendar. So you don't have to use Twitter or Reddit or all these other sources. You can actually you can send me documents directly within the app. You can also send me a message directly within the app, and that app, as part of the community, can then take that information and add it to, it can be added to the calendar.
Okay. All right. So we have 1 minute left, and I'll take the last question here. And that was from E. Monty. Does paying for premium work in this day and age? Does paying for premium work in this day and age, or how will the paying for premium work?
I guess, like I said, it's very early stages. What I've done is I've got a format there to try and get a sense of what people really think might add value. So for example, you know, the calendar feature to me is something that potentially somebody might pay for. So there was a conference that was held in, what was it, Wyoming? And there was also a 3D conference that was held where IOG actually had a virtual 3D stand. And you could go up to the stand and ask questions directly. And that stand was hosted by IOG staff. Now, somebody might think that has particular value because you wouldn't normally know about it or you wouldn't be able to get to it. So I think it does, the subscription model, if you're really adding value, then I think it is worthwhile because it's not a huge amount. I haven't actually come up with a full amount in terms of what that likely to be, but it's not going to be a high amount. It'll just be really to cover the cost of the sources of the data and the ability to be able to improve the app in terms of the roadmap.